welcome to another edition of Trail Talk TV. Today we've got Josh from the Rubicon project in the office. Josh, thanks for coming in.
Great to be here.
So today we're going to talk about the automation of premium. There's obviously spent the last couple of years automating the lower ends of the stack, and we want to know how we can do this on the premium side. And Josh is going to talk a little bit about that today. So Josh, before we do that, what exactly is your role at Rubicon?
Well, my current role at Rubicon is the head of 49BC, which is our new initiatives that is addressing the automated guaranteed market. But prior to this role, I've had a variety of roles at Rubicon. My first 4 years, I ran the publisher side of the company.
Yeah.
And then for about a year and a half, ran mobile after we acquired a company in the mobile space.
Yeah.
And then based on some of the initiatives that we were undertaking in mobile, back in August of last year, they asked me to run the buy side.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of different roles, and now I'm excited to help us climb the premium guaranteed part of the market.
Okay. And just for the record, before this, Josh actually had colour in his hair. He's given everything to publishers and buyers in this market. So
it was jet black. It was jet black before I joined Rubicon.
So Josh, let's talk about this sort of automation of premium, where this is where all the money is really for publishers. Like at the minute we do a lot of it's a very manual process. So what exactly are you doing here in this space, and where do you see it going beyond just automated into programmatic, basically?
Sure. So I think, to start with, you've got marketers who are effectively working their business objectives through the marketing funnel. So if we want to maybe kind of kick it off, you've got the marketing funnel on one side, which starts with awareness at the top, right? So you've got awareness up top, and then on the flip side, you've got publishers with effectively their inventory pyramid or their inventory stack.
Yeah. And
they're selling their guaranteed inventory to these buyers. So here's the guaranteed part of the market. If you think about the last decade or the last, I don't know, especially since Rubicon's been around the last 7 years, kind of pioneering automation and advertising, it's really helped address the non-guaranteed part of the market, which has historically been all about conversion, right? So here's where conversion sits. And for sellers, that was going 100% to their non-guaranteed inventory. So you have their non-guaranteed here. And all of the ad networks, all of the DSPs, all of the supply side companies, all of the exchanges have done a really, I think, terrific job of automating the non-guaranteed part of the market. And as we showed with our private marketplace technology, now you've got, kind of going up the stack, you've got engagement on behalf of marketers that's kind of going after this sort of premium non-guaranteed or private marketplace inventory. So this is kind of a very sort of simplified view of the publisher's inventory stack and the marketing funnel. And essentially with 49BC, we're leveraging all of our learning that we've had in the non-guaranteed market to help automate the guaranteed part of the market.
So in terms of the guaranteed market at the minute, a lot of it's sort of a manual based process.
That's
right.
So
what we're talking about here is a sort of static buy effectively, and tags are effectively doing, it's sort of automated, that whole process of pushing tags to the ad server and making the campaign live. That's all being sort of automated. That's the way we're looking at this, basically.
That's true. So if you think about it, what goes into building the guaranteed side of the market, it really starts with, and from our perspective, it starts with planning. So planning today is a silo. It's got Kantar, Nielsen, ComScore, maybe an agency has historical data on what they've bought in the past. They're trying to build awareness for a big advertiser, a big brand. So once they put their plan together, they then need to discover inventory.
Yeah.
So planning kind of lends itself to discovery. Once you have your plan, you can discover. But discovery is now usually in the form of an RFP, right? So it's it's an Excel file, or perhaps it's generated out of a system, and you then email it to a bunch of sellers, but there's really no place today that aggregates real-time pricing information on behalf of sellers, and brings that to the desktop of the buyer. So that's part of where there's this friction in the market today that causes the use of Excel and email and phones and faxes. And then once you get into discovery, you got to negotiate. So this is all happening before the transaction, right? So the transaction then has its own friction. Once the negotiation has happened, you got to then execute the campaign. And as you said, today, when a guaranteed buy happens, it's typically the buyer emailing the seller an insertion order, which needs to be signed and then emailed back. And then from there, it's the buyer emailing an ad tag, which the seller then needs to put into their own system. And you know, it's kind of amazing that there's all this data being entered multiple times into multiple systems. So, you know, this is why execution comes after all this. But once the execution happens, what that means is, from an automated guarantee perspective, is that you're automating the buyer's buy directly into the seller's ad server. So it's direct tag injection into the ad server so that the seller doesn't have to traffic that tag. They don't have to test that tag. It's an end-to-end system that helps automate the guaranteed side of the market. And once that happens, it drives insights. So this becomes a loop, right? So these insights then drive better planning, which leads to better discovery, which leads to better negotiation, which then kind of comes back to execution. And it's just this loop that goes on. And this, in effect, the planning, discovery, negotiation, execution, and insights, that's 49BC. That's the automated guaranteed market, and that's what we're rolling out.
But interesting. So do you see an evolution then from that part of it to more programmatic guaranteed, in the sense that this is not programmatic, this is more sort of rationalizing the process, but the next stage is to be able to layer third-party, first-party data and actually make it impression by impression level buying?
Absolutely.
Is that, do you envision that's the way we're going to go with this?
You're 100% right. That's effectively where we see the market going, and we see it going there pretty fast. Like, part of the beta partners that we have in 49BC today are looking to leverage their first and third-party data and understand how they can forecast, plan, and buy against that. And we assume that programmatic guaranteed, so remember, programmatic is not just efficiency, it's effectiveness, right? It's that hand-in-hand combination. We've seen how, in terms of CPMs, private marketplace CPMs, so if this is sort of a RTB-enabled transaction via Deal ID, buyers are getting much better performance. They're getting exactly the audiences they want, and these CPMs are 3 to 4 times what they're paying in the open auction. So if you're thinking about this from a CPM standpoint, you're getting higher value transactions that deliver a win for the buyer because they're getting the audience that they want, and a win for the seller because they're getting the yield that corresponds with the buyer getting exactly the type of audience that they're looking for. And that's why we think these trends will continue. In our current private marketplace technology, we see, I think the CPMs are something to the tune of 280% higher in private marketplaces compared to the open auction. And we believe that will continue into automated guaranteed and then programmatic guaranteed. So if this splits into automated guaranteed, then above it will be programmatic.
And do you envisage that to be impression level stuff, or would that be more a case of being able to kind of layer data on top? This is kind of like, it feels to me that the programmatic guarantees is supercharged PMP, basically really custom units and super sort of premium placements, is that just kind of a case of just upping the ante really from P&P?
Well, I think we're all kind of taking the lawnmower through the forest on this,
Yeah.
but I believe that is where this part of the market is going to go. So it's this combination of audience targeting that DSPs have developed, again in the non-guaranteed part of the market, combining with the ability to drive guaranteed audiences, because you have to remember that private marketplaces, even though they're deals between buyers and sellers,
It's still an auction.
it's still part of the auction. Whereas once you get into programmatic guaranteed, that's a guaranteed buy from a buyer to a seller with
The
impression level
yeah.
decisioning.
Right, okay. So
Absolutely.
it's been able to take the know-how from here and lace it onto the automated guarantee piece.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So today we've seen in our private marketplace technology, it's something that we've launched since 2012. We launched, I believe, in February of 2012. It's now globally the fastest growing segment of our business. And it's literally hundreds of buyers representing thousands of advertisers spending millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's the best sellers in the market. So we've seen all these components in the private marketplace side of our business, and we now want to leverage that to go into the guaranteed side.
Interesting. And when are you rolling out this 49BC in Europe and outside the US? I know you're already embedded in the US, but when do you envisage a rollout for this?
So we launched it in private beta in the States
Yeah.
in April in mobile. And
Okay.
we are now launching it globally, still in private beta, in mobile, and we're opening it up into display as well.
Okay.
And our goal is by early next year to have a unified platform for any transaction type in mobile, display, and video as we look into the future.
Full stack.
That's right.
Josh, thanks very much for bringing us through that and giving us some overview on the old automated guaranteed and programmatic guaranteed market. So hopefully maybe next year we'll talk a bit more about the programmatic guaranteed market.
Look forward to it. Thanks,
All right,
Jeremy.
Josh. Thanks.
Thanks.
And we'll see you next week on Trader Talk TV.